Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to another episode of the Armchair Pundits. And this week we are doing a show that continues on from what we've done previously. So, for those of you that have watched us consistently, we've done best goalkeepers of all time, we've done the best left backs of all time, best right backs of all time. And it's about time we have done the best centre backs of all time. So, that's what we'll be doing today. So, as you can see, I've got Bevan, I've got Lamont. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's nice that it's a bit cooler today in the
Oh, yeah,
evening.
for
You
real.
know what I'm saying?
Here, here,
Yeah,
here, here.
I'm not complaining about the sun or nothing, but at night time it's not the best. But yeah, man, all good.
You, James, all good?
I'm all right, man. I agree. Yesterday was some next level of heat for a nighttime, boy. Next level. But yeah, looking forward to this little rundown and to see how many Man United players get into a certain team.
Don't know what you're talking about, fella.
1 through 5.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. But yeah, we'll snake it as we normally do. And the rules for this are the same as we've done before. But for those of you who haven't watched us before, every player that gets picked has to have played 2 full seasons in the Premier League, and it's our own choices. We haven't discussed it with each other, so we don't actually know who's in each other's top 10. And then at the end of it, if it's possible, then we'll choose an overall number one. So we'll reel off 10 to 6, won't give much detail, may say stats and stuff, but we'll just say their names, and then we'll discuss the defenders, centre back, sorry, from 5 all the way to 1. So we'll go from my screen. We'll go Bevan, Lamont, myself, and then myself, Lamont, Bevan. In that, if you guys are cool with that,
10 to 1.
cool. So take it away, Bevan. Who is your number 10?
So my number 10, I went for Colo Torre. He was an invincible. I think he's kind of. I feel like he's underrated, but he was a good defender. He was strong, he's quick, he's powerful. So yeah, I'll put him as number 10.
All right. My number 10 is Wes Morgan.
No way. Can we? Go on. Sorry.
What?
Yeah, go
What's
on.
the shade of it? Yeah,
No. I thought you said Wes Brown. Sorry.
Nah. Oh, is honestly, did you pronounce it Wes Brown? No, bro. Come on. Rate me, dog. Rate me.
Well, Wes Morgan's crazy though. But this is your
Yeah. But
Is
no,
there a difference?
Wes. Yeah.
Is
No,
there a
to be
difference?
honest with you, it was more a case of him leading his team that was arguably very, very underrated to their first league title. So I feel like he needs to get some kind of recognition for that. And he managed to be a mainstay in their team, which, you know, in the Premier League era where he was playing against some real top class strikers was something not to be kind of, you know, shunned. So Wes Morgan's my number 10.
Okay, my number 10 is Tony Adams. 255 appearances, 115 clean sheets, with a clean sheet ratio of 45.1. Goals scored 12 and 2 Premier League titles, and only captain to win top 5 titles in 3 decades, which doesn't really matter because we're into about Prem. But yeah, it was between him and Kolo Toure and Sami Hyypiä, and Tony Adams won 2 Prem titles, and I wasn't sure about Kolo, even though it was invincible. So for me, my number 9 is Ledley King. 268 appearances despite his knee issues. 63 clean sheets at 23.5%. 10 goals scored and achievements. 2008 League Cup, and that's about it for him. But it was a quality defender, and injury didn't allow us to see the very, very best of him. But what we did see was quite special at times.
I have to agree with you there, James. Ledley was my number 9. I think everybody can agree that if he was able to stay injury free, he quite easily would have got to play at like a bigger club than Spurs, and quite possibly won some league titles along the way. I think every reputable striker has said that he was one of the hardest defenders to play against, and that's not in the modern era where the strikers are a bit flimsy and quite easy to play against. We're talking about the tough times when it was really tough to play against strikers. But yeah, he's my number 9. No shade.
That sounds like all the shade. Yo,
Hmm.
I forgot to make a disclaimer, and you're gonna see that there's a guy that's not gonna be on my list because I can't see him. Um, I'm one of those. I'm as equally as visually impaired sighted as I am black. So whatever descriptive word he wants to use for me, I can't see him in it. So he's not. He didn't make the list. My number 9 is I went for Yap Stam. In honesty,
Okay.
he could have been higher on the list. He could, but um, he only played 79 games in the Premier League. Although he was a treble winner, and the way that I've done my list, I put it as like defenders that I hated to my team to play against because like Stam at United was cold, and if he didn't fall out with Fergie, I think he would have been there a lot longer, and I think he would have been very dominant in the Premier League era as well. So yeah, Yap Stam was number 9 for me. Yeah, my number 8 is Ledley King. Again, he would have been a lot higher on the list if it wasn't for his injuries. It's already been said, like strikers. Henri come out and said that he's one of the hardest defenders to play against. He was quick, and for a guy that didn't train but was ready to play on a Saturday, Paul McGrath settings, um, he was a dominant centre back, very difficult to beat, and especially as he replaced another guy that left Spurs to go to win stuff. So yeah, number 8 is Ledley King.
So my number 8 will be Tony Adams, long time skipper for Arsenal, um, a big symbol of their defence and their spirit. I think his partnership with Keown was probably one of the most formidables in their time. He had a couple of league titles to show for it as well, and yeah, quite a few England caps to follow. So yeah, my number 8's Tony Adams.
Okay. My number 8 is Nemanja Vidic. 211 appearances, 95 clean sheets at 45.8 ratio. Goals scored 15. Won 5 Premier League titles. And he was also a Premier League Player of the Season twice, which I wasn't aware of until we actually did this. But yeah, for me, he is number 8.
My number 7, I've gone for Tony Adams, Mr. Arsenal. Um, I think like when you think of 1-0 to the Arsenal, it's you think of Tony Adams. He was a part of a great backline that stayed for years after Wenger came to Arsenal, and they said won 2 Premier Leagues and was a very commanding centre back and could play a little bit as well. So Tony Adams was number 7.
My number 7 is Virgil van Dijk. Now, I put him down as number 7 only because I feel like the era that he's playing in isn't nothing near um, as competitive as the rest of the guys on this list. What they had to face week in, week out, intensity levels, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, VVD's number 7.
So my number 7 is someone who I didn't expect to have debuted as early as he did. John Terry debuted at 17. I actually completely forgot that. I thought he debuted a lot older than that. 492 appearances, clean sheets 214, an average of 43.5%. Goals scored 41, 5 Premier League titles, all-time leading defender for goals and clean sheets. And he was a good set piece threat. So, football ability wise, there's not much you can say about him. Obviously, other stuff, I don't fully agree about what he's done, but football wise, he goes number 7 for me. So number 6 was his defensive partner, and as you can tell, I've put him ahead of him because I thought he was the better of the two when they played together, and that is Ricardo Carvalho.
Yeah.
135 appearances, 63 clean sheets, an average of 46.7, scored 7 goals, won 3 Premier League titles, and it was key to the ridiculous defensive record that they had in the 04-05 season of only conceding 15 goals in 38 games, which was a madness. And I'm pretty sure it'll never be repeated.
Never.
So, yeah,
Never.
that's my number 6.
So my number 6 is Kolo Touré. I really feel like he's underrated only because he was quite integral to most of the teams that he played in, and he played for Arsenal and for City when I would argue that competition was quite fierce. He got a couple of Premier League titles along the way. His pace was quite electrifying. So in terms of mistakes and being able to recover, he was able to deliver, a lot of last ditch challenges. And also he was very aggressive in his dueling. So for me, Kolo Touré was number 6.
So my number 6, I went for Carvalho as well. As James said, he was integral to that ridiculous. Was it 16 goals they conceded?
15.
15. That is mental. That is insane, man. And he was ready. He could give the rough and tumble. He had great positioning as well. I think if he had played more games, I might have put him higher because I didn't realize he'd played that. When I looked at it, I didn't realize how little games he had played. But as a defender, absolutely frightening, man. I think most teams would have. He gave nightmares against. We're coming up against Chelsea. You knew that at that time, if Chelsea went 1-0 up, that was it. Forget about it, man. The game was over. And so for my number 5, I've gone for Vincent Kompany. When it came to him being at Man City, he's the beginning of that Man City revolution and where they started to win trophies. I think he was there for 265 games, 11 years, and I mean, was it 4 Premier Leagues he won? And yeah, there was a point where they were so solid, and it was a lot of it was to do with Vincent Kompany. So Vincent Kompany was number 5 for me.
Yeah. So my number 5, Yap Stam. Peak monster, mate. The geezer was definitely before his time. Arguably, I know a few people have said that, he, had he have stayed in the Premier League for longer, he would have been formidable. And I'm not going to lie, I do see some glimpses of VVD, of Jap Sam in VVD, just in his gameplay and just how fierce he is. But even though he was only here for around about 79 appearances for United, he still managed to pick up 3 Premier League titles along the way. And, being a great reader of the game, he could have picked up a lot more. So, yeah, Yap Stam's on number 5.
So, funny enough, Yap Stam is also my number 5. As mentioned before by Bevan, 79 appearances in that time, 22 clean sheets, an average of 27.8. Scored 1 goal. But, treble winner in 99. Was in a PFA Team of the Year 3 years in a row. So each year he was there pretty much. And Ferguson said that he was a mistake selling him. If he had stayed longer, he most likely would have been higher. The pace, the power he had was something new to English football that we'd seen with to go along with the ability. Before he came around, it was either you were strong and you were a bit slow, or you were fast but you didn't have ability. And he combined both, and um, he could have made Man United even more of a monster than they even were if he had stayed. So thankfully he didn't stay. They still carried on winning, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But
Plus, we won the treble while
they,
he was
they
there, innit?
yeah, they could have
Yeah.
won another Champions League sooner if they'd been able to keep him. So in what you say in terms of him and VVD, I can see it. I'd probably play them together
Oof, oof, oof,
because
oof.
um,
Can you imagine?
That's horrible. That's nightmares, man.
it'd be worrying.
You'd have to pay
Worrying
two
because
strikers up top. You'd have to pay two strikers up top. You pay one, he's gone.
it depends who you've got in it.
Yeah.
Henri could handle it.
Not them two.
Best, arguably. You never know.
I don't know,
I-
You
bruv.
never know.
I don't
You
know.
never know.
Bravs.
Henri's greatness is there, but
I know.
that's another conversation.
Yeah.
That's another conversation anyway. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, it would be formidable to have them both there together. And Yapstam, when he was asked who would be his perfect partner from Premier League era, he said only one person would be VVD. He was asked if it would be Rio Ferdinand, and he said nah, it would be VVD. So yeah. Number 4, I've got Sol Campbell. Similar, in fact. So, but he wasn't as good on the ball as Sepstam. But similar in his style of play, Sepstam, how aggressive he was, how quick he was, how commanding he was. 503 appearances, 154 clean sheets, an average of 30.6 ratio. Goals scored, 20. Had the invincible season 2003, 2004, and won the FA Cup with 3 different clubs.
Yeah.
So listen, Sol Campbell, people disregard him, people talk down because of how he ended, and they didn't think he ended on the highest. Obviously, he went down to play lower league football for whatever reason for a while, but his ability is unquestionable. So for me, he holds his position 4th. Could he have been higher? Possibly. But for me, the 3 that I've got ahead of him were just better all-round defenders.
My number 4,
Yeah.
Johnny Evans. What can I say? Longevity. Superb ambassador for United. He went away, come back, and kind of just went back to business.
We're not doing this, are we? We're not doing this.
What do you mean?
You're messing about.
Bro,
There's
you're
no
shameless,
way.
bro.
There's no way. Wait,
Bro,
who did you have?
how you can have Johnny Evans as a better centre back than Van Dijk? It's just nonsense, bro.
I'm just
So
saying,
anyway,
different
it's-
times.
it's-
He showed his worth in the times where the strikers were tough, and he
when was he ever? When was he ever
Did
a
he
main
even
starter
start?
for Man United?
Listen,
When was he the main starter?
I didn't question you and your flipping numbers. Don't question mine.
but that's-
It's what I see. Yeah, football's about
You
opinions.
see, you see them like this. You see them like
Evans-
this.
Evans,
That's how you watch football,
number
bro.
4. Moving on.
Oh wow.
Cool. My number 4 is arguably part of could be argued that he was a part of one of the best centre back partnerships in Premier League history, and there's a certain guy in Liverpool that gave him nightmares, so that knocked him down a couple of pegs. But my number 4, I went for Nemanja Vidic. There were times where that guy was frightening, man. He was there to do some of the ugly work for Rio, and he did it very, very well. I think there was one point it was arguable that that they were talking about him being one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, and when Stam had left and then United get Vidic, it started a bit shaky, but as soon as he settled in, man. As soon as he settled in, oh my word, what a frightening defender to play against. So yeah, number 4, Nemanja Vidic. And my number
Evans was above Vidic as well. You put Evans above Vidic, bro.
I haven't said
You said Vidic yet? Okay,
Nah.
my bad. My bad.
My
Sorry, you had him above Yep Stam.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he did.
carry on.
Yeah.
Above Yep Stam.
My number 3, I went with Sol Campbell. A very commanding centre back. Maybe not the best on the ball, but still a part of the Arsenal Invincibles, and I think he was a monster at the back as well, man, and very commanding in the air, quick, strong. Strikers struggled to get past him, so my number 3 was Sol Campbell.
Right. So my number 3 is Vidic. As you guys know, top Don, 5 Premier League titles, Champions League, Premier League Player of the Season twice. Yeah. And I think he was named in the PFA Team of the Year multiple seasons as well. But you guys know already, he was fierce. He was iconic. He was a leader, and he was in the best team in the land. There's not much more to say than that, really. He could have played in any team. I think at one stage, even Real Madrid would tighten for him. But yeah, man, Vidic is my number 3. 2 more to go.
Yeah, this hogs, man. This is
my number 3. My number 3 is Vincent Kompany. 265 appearances, 94 clean sheets, an average of 35.8 clean sheet record. Goals 18, Premier League titles 4. Scored a goal that broke my heart when he hit it top bin against Leicester. When even I was saying shoot,
yeah, everyone was.
And he did, and he put it top bins. He scored clean sheet goals in 2 seasons, 2012 and 2019. But he was just a leader, an immense leader. I know there's other guys who were captains and led from the front as well, but he just ran that Man City team. They had stars. When he came in from Hamburg, there was little known about him. I think he came in and he was at Hamburg. He was drifting between defensive midfielder and centre back, and it was like, what is he going to be? What is he going to be? But as the years went on, he got better and better, more influential, and he was just immense, absolutely immense. And that's why I've managed to get him at number 3. But there were still 2 better than him. So my number 2, it was a tough one to choose 1 and 2. But I've gone for Rio Ferdinand as my number 2. 504 appearances.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Sorry, audience, but that surprised me. I didn't even think he was gonna make a top 5. Swear down.
Why wouldn't he? Rio Ferdinand's elite, bro. Okay. Why would you not make a top 5? It's not like I'm putting people like Johnny Evans in my top 5. Come on, come on.
As you were.
Come on, Rio Ferdinand was elite, bro. 504 appearances, 189 clean sheets at 37.5%, 11 goals. One of them was a crazy half volley against Liverpool at Anfield, which I'll never forget. 6 Premier League titles, Team of the Year 6 times, and he started the first in our era, because obviously there was guys like Hansen way back that played football, like ball playing centre backs, but he was calm with it. He would do step overs, he would do drag backs, all that kind of stuff. He would chip it over defenders and do 1-2s attackers do 1-2s, and he was just confident, like confident enough to have that blonde haircut with that white suit on his debut, or cream suit, on his debut.
Yeah.
Sorry, not his debut, when he signed. But for our era, from when I was growing up, he changed the game to a degree. He had the speed, he had the ability, and he had the talk as well. He had the talk.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for someone who, not myself, but others have regarded to be one of the best of all time, it would be Rio Ferdinand number one. But alas, it's not Rio Ferdinand number one. He is number two.
So, my number two, Carvalho. I
Wow,
know.
that surprised me. I
Do you
thought you were
know?
going to have a top five of menu.
That has surprised me too.
No.
You are
So
full of
Carvalho,
surprises.
yeah. No, Carvalho for me was an unsung hero for Chelsea when they were doing all their good stuff, and namely the season where they finished with 15 goals conceded. I know JT got a lot of the plaudits. Arguably, that was because we're in England. It's in the English Premier League, right? But I feel like on a bigger scale, if everybody's watching them games, they'll see how much Carvalho was saving JT in a lot of the games because of his pace, his anticipation, his aggressiveness, the comms that you would see from him off the ball. Don't get me wrong, JT was intelligent, but Carvalho, for me, was the brains of the operation. And I used to always give the plaudits to JT, and that used to really jar me. And, for matters outside of football, it made me realize that he's probably not as transparent as you may think he is in regards to, just his personality and stuff. So when I saw that, I thought, you know what, definitely Carvalho's the one running the ship there. He's doing it all. So for me, he's my number two. Great leader. He knows how to react in big game moments. He never went missing in any of those kind of high profile games. So yeah, man, he deserves to be number two.
So my number two, if you're going to describe this guy as a footballer, you're going to call him a Rolls Royce of a player. I think original cage footballer, made playing centre back look sexy. As James said, he's doing drag backs. He's nutmegging man, playing 1-2s, positionally aware, quick, and you know what I mean, could play the game. So number two, I went with Rio Ferdinand, and I also went to upset Lamont. I couldn't have. I've watched the last couple of pods, and I really couldn't have another Man United player being the best player in the position. So yeah, we need to bring some normality back to this pod. But like in all seriousness, Rio was a cold player, man. I think that as like watching if you're gonna watch a player, if you're gonna watch a centre back and you're gonna look at a centre back playing football and actually seeing one playing football, not just heading the ball, clearing the ball, and stuff like that. Like actually playing football, I think Rio is one of the best to ever to do it in the Premier League. So that's why he's number two. And I suppose I got to say no on number one, right?
Yep. So drum roll. And the first number one is
John Terry. No, I'm joking. He's not John Terry. my number one is I went Virgil van Dijk. In terms of in this era of football, he's probably the most dominant centre back that we've ever seen. We know that we know that we know that centre backs are going to get skinned every now and again, but it doesn't happen too much with him. And I thought that he was going to start slowing down, and it doesn't seem like he has. He's, you say, sometimes it looks like he hasn't even got a hair out of place when he's playing the game. He is that good, and he can play. He's commanding in that Liverpool team. I think he's integral to the reason why they have won 2 Premier Leagues. They could have won more if it wasn't for Man City. And yeah, it shows when he got injured how much Liverpool missed him. So I think yeah, for me, Van Dijk goes in the number one spot.
All right. After that debacle, my number one is known as one of the most elegant and technically gifted defenders of his generation. He's also known for his exceptional reading of the game. He had many hairstyles, so, getting a hair out of place wasn't something that he would have to worry about. But he had great pace as a centre back. I think for us to lose Yap Stam and then gain a Rio Ferdinand, which I believe was back to back 1 year after the other, I feel like we had a great transition with him coming in, being such a good ball player, being able to pick up the ball, take it into midfield, and start unlocking doors. 6 Premier League titles. He won the FA Cup, the League Cup a couple of times, won the Champions League, was in the PFA Team of the Year 5 times, composed, and just overall great ability. There's only one number one, and that's Rio, mate. The guy's got the aura of a leader, and he deserves to be number one. He's playing in, a generation where the strikers were strikers dominating. Like 3 or 4 men are kind of tussling for the golden boot. And when it comes to, real competition, Rio stepped up more often than not. And he was, part of a very formidable two between him and Vidic. But yeah, over to you, James.
Yeah, that was very nice. It's a very nice prelude to show why he's number 2 to the real number 1. Because everything you said about Rio Ferdinand, apart from admittedly winning the titles, Van Dijk did better on the pitch. So, if you want to talk about leadership, I wouldn't say I'd say he's a leader of men. Liverpool are where they are because of Van Dijk. Our transformation from being a decent team to being one of the best in Europe was literally the minute Van Dijk stepped into the club. In the first half season, he got Liverpool to the Champions League. Obviously, we're talking about Premier League, but that was the precursor towards it. What could he not do? Passing ability was there. Tackling, he didn't really need to because people laugh, but he had an aura. And the simple fact is, you saw strikers run towards him and then turn around and pass the ball back. That happened plenty of times with him. There was a season where he was not dribble past once. I think he was the first centre back. It's happened again since. I think some defenders have done it since then. But and that could be also due to the way football has changed, as Lamont has said. Strikers are a bit different now to where they were before. But he was at an era where, yes, I admit, as Lamont said, in terms of playing with 2 strikers, but he was the main striker. He didn't have a Vidic to play with. He didn't have a Carvalho to play with. So a lot of the other guys that get put alongside him, as good as him, as better than him, they had world-class centre-back partners to play with. And that's undoubted. 4 is named in the Premier League Team of the Year 5 times. And won the Premier League twice, just won it now. The first time he won the Premier League, he got Player of the Season in that as well. And in terms of what we think is one thing, but you can go to what other people think. Sami Hyypiä said he was the ultimate centre-back, very difficult to find a weakness in his game. Franz Beckenbauer, one of the greatest of all centre-backs. I don't see any weaknesses in him. He has power, anticipation, agility.
Yeah.
Say again? Yeah,
Go on.
Franz Beckenbauer. Mourinho, he has everything. It's almost impossible to find a weakness in his game. So that's 2 elites and 1 very good Hyypiä, saying that he had hardly a weakness in his game. And Maldini, arguably some people said is the greatest, said, "I've played with some of the greatest defenders like Nesta, Baresi, Cannavaro, but I feel I was unlucky not to pair with Van Dijk. Virgil will be the best defender in the history of football." That's Maldini saying that. And to top it off, Van Dijk got the ACL, and at that point he was the best in the world. And not many people recover from an ACL and get back to top level. And he has. His first season after ACL, he wasn't great, admittedly. But since then, he's just gone back to being the best in the world again. So for me, he's the undoubted best Premier League centre-back of all time. Everything's up for debate, of course.
It is,
There
but
isn't,
bro, we're
there
talking
isn't.
Premier League. We're talking Premier
Yeah.
League, yeah. And for
Premier
me,
League?
he's very good. No, listen. All jokes aside, he's very good. Like there's
He's
no
more than very
doubt
good.
about he's not. There's no doubt about his quality. But when we're talking Premier League, yeah, and the Premier League era,
Yeah.
like yes, he helped you guys to win your first trophy or whatever the case may be, but
And the second one.
yeah,
It's 1-2.
but you know, Rio won 6 Premier League trophies.
So
And bearing in mind, he was a skipper for.
Wes Brand won more trophies than.
We're not talking about Wes Brand though. We're talking about Rio.
But you're talking about trophies.
I'm not bringing no one else into it. I'm just talking
But
about the
you're
two
talking about
individuals. No, I'm talking about the two individuals. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not. Yes, they're in a team, but I'm not talking about any other individuals. I'm just talking about Rio and Vidic and Van Dijk. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
and those two being the best in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that Rio was a legend and the best in EPL, yeah? But you would have to say he was the best in the modern time. Because we've seen Rio playing in the real toughest time.
And who was his partner?
What do you mean?
Did he have a scrub as a partner, or did he have another world class centre back playing next to him?
Not the entire time, but he did have a good centre back
in
with him.
In his best times. Did Rio Ferdinand
for the 6 Premier League trophies that he won?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. In those trophies, how many times did he play?
Vidic was there for a lot of them. However, you could say the similar right.
How many was he there not for?
All right, so the same principle would lie with Van Dijk winning You're saying he helped you win the league, or he was the reason why you won the league. But in order for you to win the league, you got to score goals, right? Yes, and you've also got to not concede. Now you had one of the best keepers in the world. You got Alisson. Alisson. Sorry, Alisson.
Alisson.
For more or less the same amount of time that he's been there.
He had Van der Sar.
So how long has Alisson been there for? Has Alisson been there the same time as Van Dijk?
Yeah.
What, same time or about the same? About the same, right?
6 months. 6 months difference.
Right. For me personally,
Alisson came summer and he came the January before. So
I feel like if you have one without the other, I don't believe that he
had Van der Sar. Van der Sar is known as one of the best of all time. So
correct, Rio was still able to play his game against
with Van der Sar,
but with top class strikers as well.
But you're not getting what I'm saying. You're trying to say that he had Alisson, and that's what made him better. He had Van der Sar, so they're virtually on equal footing. I'm pretty sure when we did the goalkeepers, Alisson and Van der Sar were 1 and 2.
I wouldn't say they're on equal footing. Not again when you talk about the competition that they're playing against. So in my opinion,
I'm pretty sure when we did the goalkeepers, you had Van der Sar ahead of Alisson.
Probably.
So now in this conversation, you're using Alisson as someone better than Van der Sar. That doesn't make sense.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
No, but I'm talking about as an individual, Rio and Van Dijk. Me personally, I feel like the competition that they played against was way tougher in Rio's era in comparison to Van Dijk's era. So when you're comparing them against who they're facing, I don't think that would be a fair judgment to say that Van Dijk is better than Rio.
Okay, so for your argument, that could
against
be
what they're facing. That's all I'm talking about. I'm not saying. I'm not saying Van Dijk's bad. You know, I think this is don't misconstrue what I'm saying.
I get that.
I'm not saying he's bad. He's a very good defender, like one of the best. But I wouldn't say he's the best just because of the competition.
Which is fair for you to say that. But on the flip side of it, like I said, Van Dijk is doing it with lesser centre-backs next to him. Rio wasn't doing it on his own. Rio had an elite centre-back to defend with. So you say he had these strikers he had to defend. He wasn't doing it on his own. He was doing it with an elite centre-back. Vidic is in the top 5 for some people.
Vidic still had to find his feet a little bit. He definitely had a little bit of wrong foot.
Only for the first 6 months. He came in January. The first 6 months he wasn't great. After that, Vidic was legit. Yeah. So
he went into the lab.
Listen, I'm not going to write off what you're saying that Van Dijk didn't play against the Henrys and the other guys and the Drogbas and that. But I would sit here and say if Van Dijk played in that era, he would not struggle because he's got everything.
I don't think he would struggle, but I don't think he would find it. So that's why
it's a bit disingenuous to say.
No, but I don't feel like he would find it as easy as he finds it now, though. I don't think it will be I don't think it will be as clear as it is now. Because when you look at Vidic
but he's not clear. He's not clear with Rio, though. He's not clear with Rio, though. He's not clear. He's just better.
Yeah, he's not clear with Rio because of the competition, bro. That's my point.
So then he'll be the
people that he was playing. No,
he'll be leveled.
No, not quite.
Anyway, Bevan, give us your opinion because we're going back and forth.
No, listen, I'm loving
him
this
as well.
I picked
because for us it's more biased. I'm a Liverpool fan. You're a Man United fan, so we're gonna choose our guys realistically. But you've got a person who doesn't support either of us that has his own say on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough to choose between the two of them. To be honest with you, I think you could put a piece of paper between them to see who's the best, and it just comes down to opinions. And really, like, as easy you can say that the strikers ain't good in this era, but he's got to deal with. I think he's got to deal with a different type of threat that Rio didn't have to necessarily deal with. So yeah, Rio has to deal with the big, strong number 9s and stuff like that, but he hasn't got to deal with the wingers that are good. He hasn't got to deal with wingers that are attacking in or being pulled out to right back. And sometimes that's what Van Dijk would have to deal with. So he is doing that and making it seem very easy in the Premier League. All right, yeah, the competition isn't as great. Arguably isn't as good, but to make it look that easy and to be so dominant, I think that, like, he's got the attributes. There's nothing that I've seen that he doesn't sell me that he hasn't got the attributes that he couldn't mix it in the other eras. To be honest with you, I think equally, I think Rio could play in this era quite easily. Yeah. But I don't think that everybody on that list could necessarily play in that era of the ball playing centre back, because in this day and age, the centre back has way more possession than ever before. And if the mistakes that they would make are going to be kind of more highlighted. So in terms of him playing this era and playing against lesser competition, he stands out because of how easy he makes it look. There are other defenders in this era that make it look like it's hard work, like it's tough. So
yeah, but I don't think there's even that much competition centre back wise like there was back in them times. Remember when Rio was about? Yeah, he's playing with he was matching against the likes of Carvalho, John Terry, like all of those guys were in the mixer of like best centre backs in that time. Right now, there's Van Dijk, and then there's a huge gap because he is better now in the modern times than the majority of the centre backs out there. Whereas, and for me, there's a lot of things here. I'm not going to go too much into it because we already went back and forth here. But just my last point is, like, just one example is, for example, the formation, that we're playing now in comparison to the formations we used to play then. Obviously, you got someone like Van Dijk. He's playing against one centre back, one forward more often than not. Yeah, so one person goes short, the other one covers, and usually it's Van Dijk that's covering because whatever the case may be. And in them times where Rio was in a back four, they would have to be in a mixer with two forwards. So them man have got one person each to mark. And if they're not careful, they'll have a third person drop in from the midfield. But again, it's all about opinions. It is. We could talk about this all day. To be honest, we could go
because what I would say, and I don't want to.
even though I put Van Dijk further down my list, and that could just be the United bias. Yeah,
Could be.
I know.
Let's be
I
real.
know. No, listen. I know how good he is now. I know that. I can see that. It's very clear. But when we're talking about competition, I would have to see him in those times to really make a firm judgment. Like,
So
he's got
question
no
for you
other
then.
centre backs.
If
Go on,
if
brother.
he had competition, would you not think he'd be even better then? If he had that
Maybe.
competition, because
Maybe.
he's not a shrinking violet. Having better centre backs around would only make him better. But I hear what you're saying. Just to counter what you're saying about the defensive structure. How many times do we watch football and listen to Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand say, I couldn't play in this era with the fullbacks bombing up forward and me being on an island having to defend against these fast strikers? Rio Ferdinand said, no, I'm not having it. Rio Ferdinand he says it. Oh, no. He said, this is from his own mouth.
Yeah,
he says
I
it all
know,
the
but
time.
bruv,
I'm telling my left back, you get in here now. I'm telling my right back. So in that
that's
regard,
all hindsight stuff, innit? That's all hindsight.
but it's not hindsight. It's the actual truth. He's telling you
but it's not
he
the
would
truth,
not be
'cause
comfortable.
They don't know it because they haven't done it. They don't know it because they haven't done it.
But if someone's
It's like
telling
Van Dijk saying, oh, if I played against Drogba, I would have dominated him, or vice versa. Oh, I wouldn't have dominated him.
No. Where it's
he doesn't
different
know.
is but where it's different. He's telling you himself, I would not feel comfortable if I had my fullbacks gone and it's just me.
I'm pretty sure Gary Neville thought he weren't going to be playing right back for as long as he did with Man United. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
so,
but I think
his opinion is his opinion.
That's Rio Ferdinand saying that.
I'm just saying.
That.
Right. My point is, I'm just saying, them men are talking from their ivory tower almost. They're talking, looking back, thinking, I couldn't do that. But it don't matter what they're saying right now, because all of that is back. That's past tense. I'm saying currently, right now, yeah? Modern times.
But then what you're saying is not fair then. Because,
what do you mean?
Because in your opinion, because of that era, then no one in now could be as good as them. That's basically
correct.
Saying,
that's why Rio's top.
No, but that doesn't make sense.
All the strikers,
so no one's ever going to be better than them.
All right. So what I'm trying to say to you is, the Thierrys, the Drogbas, Cristiano Ronaldo's. I'm trying to think of any other big striker. Even Alan Shearer, like Andy Cole, like all of these guys that were 30 goals plus, 25 goals plus. You are not stopping them from scoring. Like, they're gonna get a goal. Like, I'm talking, Rio was in them eras. He was playing with them real gunman. You know what I'm saying? There is not really no real gunman right now in the Premier League. What, Harry Kane? Come on, bruv. Like, what you going to say?
Yeah, but so it's the different...
And I'm saying consistently, yeah? 2-3 years, these men are shooters. So
bruv, Harry Kane was not some waste guy though. But anyway,
no, I'm not saying he's a waste guy. Go on,
Bevan.
But I think the difference is that to be the centre back, no centre back wants to gets pulled out to right back or left back.
No, you don't.
They don't.
No,
right. And that's what happens to Van Dijk on a regular basis, and he deals with it regularly.
Yeah, but Rio used to get pulled out all the time. He never used to like being there, bruv. He was on the side that flipping,
and he got duppied many a time, bruv.
But he also had to do a lot of covering runs where he didn't. He had also got a lot of covering runs where he didn't. But you got to remember, again, if he's getting pulled out wide after he's just had a shift with a number 9 that's bullying him the whole game, yeah, and he's trying to get the better of him, yeah. For example, playing against a Torres at number 9, and he's running rings around him maybe, and then he's got to go now and chase a man that's just gone over the fullback. Of course, he's going to get found out every now and again.
Let's not forget Aguero played in this era.
Van Dijk hasn't got that to worry about now because
let's not forget Aguero played in this era as well. It's going like there's no other strikers.
What?
There's other strikers.
What are you saying? What Aguero didn't make Van Dijk look silly? Is that what you're telling me?
Van Dijk specifically, not that I remember, not look silly. I could be wrong. I'm talking off the top of my dome right now. I can't sit there and say I remember a time where he did that. Again, every defender has been made to look silly. So there probably is a time where Van Dijk been made to look silly, but there's a time where Rio Ferdinand been made to look silly.
You're gonna get made to look silly as a defender.
Yeah,
it's
world class.
It's impossible.
Right,
it's impossible.
But obviously, you're talking about Aguero. Aguero, like I don't think there's anybody.
No, I'm just saying to you.
What Aguero does.
You said there wasn't good strikers. That's my point. Is he played against Aguero? Was a world class striker. So it's not like he only played against someone like Harry Kane.
How long did he play against Aguero, and did he win any league titles while Aguero was around? Probably not. I'd have to look.
I'm pretty sure his first one he won when Aguero was around.
Okay.
He won his first one when Aguero was around. That's not his fault if Aguero's retired.
No. I know. Yeah. Okay.
It's not his fault, is it? And the last point I'll say is Van Dijk played against a ridiculous Man City, where Van Dijk ends the season with 97 points and loses to a 99 or 98 point team. So yes, you mentioned about the titles, but also the team against us. Rio Ferdinand was in the very best team, hands down. Man United were the best team of Rio Ferdinand's era. No one can really touch him. Obviously, the Invincibles came in. The Invincibles came in. Chelsea came in a bit. We were pushed. But the Man City team that had that Guardiola had was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But you still got to. At the end of the day, you still got to win it.
Agreed.
No matter how good a team is, Liverpool and Van Dijk started to win it, but they came up against a tough team. But listen, we'll get to the end of it now because, as we said, it is majority rules, and by coincidence, Van Dijk wins all-time best centre-back of the Premier League era by 2-1.
This is your fault, Bevan, bro.
So
this is all your fault, bro.
by 2-1. So I'd like to thank Bevan for
Why
his
is Leon
honesty.
not on the pod?
For his
I
honesty.
think if Leon was on the pod, he would have said Van Dijk anyway. I think maybe. I don't know.
He probably would have.
I don't know.
Listen. There's
Where's
a bias
Philip?
from me.
Philip would have said Rio.
I'm a United fan. There's a bias from me.
Oh, is he?
There's a bias from me, and there's a bias from you, obviously. So thankfully, we had a non-Liverpool and Man United.
Bro, he knows what he is.
To tip the balance. So this has been Armchair Pundits. This has been Armchair Pundits' best centre-back of all time in the Premier League era. And the winner is a guy you can see right over there called Van Dijk. Oh, was he down there? No, he's down there. Right there, Van Dijk.
You should have put him on Lamont's face.
It's somewhere. You'll see him somewhere. But yeah, Van Dijk is the winner. And we'll be doing more as the summer goes on. Midfielders, wingers, strikers. It's going to be quite hard to do whether we do DMs or CMs or separately or together. But we'll come to that bridge when we get there. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Leave a comment because we've had a nice little debate on who we think should be first. And I'm sure you guys watching have your own views on who you think is the best. I'm sure you have views on whether Van Dijk is better than Johnny Evans and whether Jaap Stam is better than Johnny Evans. Just to name one. I'm not going to let it go because last time someone forgot to put Andy Robertson in top 10 of left backs and he had 4 Man United. Anyway, let's not go down that line. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Peace out.
Peace.
Nice one.